Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Dude here, and today we're back with a brand new video. This is going to be a very popular setup video as I'm doing the Porsche 911 RSR, the fan favorite GR3 car within Gran Turismo Sport, and it should be the fan favorite probably within this game as well. It's a very pleasant car to drive given the fact that it's MR. I do believe this car is MR and not rear engine, at least as far as I know with the GT3 version, but it drives absolutely amazing. It has wonderful traction, and honestly it does drive a lot like it did in Gran Turismo Sport. With that being said, the setup is going to be a little bit different than Sport. There's a few things that obviously this game's physics engine demands of the car that you need to make a few different changes, but overall it drives extremely well, and I'm excited to get into the setup with you guys. So before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that 71% of the people who watch these videos are currently not subscribed. So if we can make that 69%, that would be pretty awesome. Also leave a comment in which car that you would like to see me tune next. Also give your thoughts on the setup and or the video. I would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, guys, without further ado, let's get into the setup. So here we are in the 911 RSR setup. Now, the first thing of note, of course, is the ride height. I have it completely slammed. Now, this is the first car in GR3 that I was able to completely slam the ride height. I didn't really feel the need to put any rear ride height in it to get it to oversteer more. I didn't really need to put any front ride height in it to get it to understeer more or get better traction, because the Porsche is delightful to drive. And I find when you move the rear ride height up to try to get more rotation, it honestly doesn't really help the car a lot, and it hurts the straight line speed, so I just leave it like that. As you can see, we have the standard roll bar and damping settings. Now, there's some cars that actually I use different roll bars on, but we are still 10 and 10 on this car. And you know, my dampers always 20 and 40, 30 and 30. That's not a coincidence. I just feel like for me, those are usually the best dampers to run. But I'll explain that in another video, guys. Also, I plan on doing a tuning guide at some point soon after a few more GR3 setups and maybe a few other setups. I do have a plan to do a tuning guide, so keep that in mind. The camber, pretty standard issue stuff. I just tried to get the best feel I could possibly get, and I did. Toe, don't want to hurt my straight line speed. Car's really balanced. And the one difference I also have is the braking sensitivity in the drivetrain. This car will get loose on you when lifting off the throttle at higher speeds, as it did in GT Sport. In this game, it's a little bit more pronounced, so I did put it all the way up to 60 to get that additional stability. And then the downforce is also maxed out all the way, which I believe to be the best option for maxed out cars in this game. So yeah, onto the transmission now. You know, these gears are pretty long. I think this car has a good amount of torque in the lower end, so you can afford to make a few of the gears lower down, like first, second, and maybe third a little bit. You can afford to make them a little longer because the car has decent torque despite being a naturally aspirated engine. Another thing to note, if you are running on a track that has a longer straightaway than the one I'm using here, then you're going to want to move your final gear to the left. And if you're running the balance of performance, which lowers the power, or you're running on a track with a much shorter straightaway than the one I will be running in this video, then you want to move the final gear to the right. That way your gears are a little bit closer packed together and you're utilizing all the RPMs that you possibly can. That's the Porsche setup, guys. Honestly, this thing drives like a dream. It should work perfectly fine for BOP or any other performance points limit. I do think it's an extremely strong car for maxed out as well. The one thing I will say is it's not quite as versatile as it was in Sport, because there are cars in the category that are much lighter, and due to those lightweight cars, the acceleration of the Porsche is a little bit lackluster in comparison when coming to just kind of the mid-range third, fourth, fifth gear acceleration is not as brutal as something like the DBR9, but the car does have good enough straight line speed, and the cornering honestly might be the best I've tried so far in the entire GR3 category. So when you combine those two things together, all you really need is adequate straight line speed. I just think on some tracks it might not be the best option, but if you go to a handling track, you bet your ass it's going to be quite good, so keep that in mind. So of course today we're going to be doing our reference lap on Trial Mountain as always to set a leaderboard time. I don't know what the Porsche is going to do on this leaderboard, if I'm being completely honest with you, but I'm definitely excited to find out. It feels extremely good, it feels extremely fast. So without further ado, let's get into the hot lap. So here we are in the Porsche 911 RSR hot lap, and yeah, this thing drives like a dream around this track. It does lack a little bit of straight line speed, as I mentioned, but here we're going to come up to the line here. Rev this thing out all the way in fifth gear here. Not going to quite use six. Going to dab on the brake real quick, 178 miles per hour. Feel the rotation. Take this extremely fast. A little bit of rise there, a little bit on the dip. Hard on the brakes, try to turn in as late as possible but still hit the apex. Again, the car rotates really nice on entry and then just has that on throttle just stability that you need through these lower speed corners. Even go using first gear right here. Going into third briefly, back into second. Through the follow-up section, don't want to understeer too much here, want to set it up. Get as low as you can right against that dirt. Up on our ghost here a little bit as we fly down the straight now. This car isn't extremely fast in terms of top speed or acceleration, but I'd say it's pretty mediocre on both, which with the handling it has, I mean, adequate and decent top speed is fine, you know what I mean, when you have this kind of handling. So again, hard on the brakes, stay nice and low, use the traction to your advantage, get to the throttle nice and soon. Come up through the follow-up section here, take this completely flat, rear end stability is fantastic. Hard on the brakes. Cut that nice and tight. Once again, right back to the throttle, way earlier than you would be with most cars. Very tidy through there. Now the final chicane here, the car should be extremely good in these 90-degree corners. Hard on the brakes, first gear. Get the traction on the way out. Very easy to put down the power. Maybe could have been taken a little bit faster, but hey, it is what it is. Get a lot of traction on the way out. Stay right against the left side wall here to the line. And we get a 142.9, breaking into the 142s with the DBR9. Obviously, the straights on this track and the acceleration zones are where this car is not going to be able to prevail over the DBR9. But I think it's an extremely strong option for most tracks on this game. The tracks that I recommended on are tracks like Nürburgring GP, Kyoto Driving Park, Yamagiwa. Really, this is going to be an extremely versatile car, similar to how it was in Sport. But I think some of the nuts accelerating cars like the Ford GT Spec and the DBR9 are going to overpower it on certain tracks. Obviously, you have to pick and choose a little bit more than you did in Sport where you want to use this thing. But overall, it's just an absolute beast, and I love driving this car. And I know this is a fan favorite, and I know you guys want to see this. And I really do think I got a good setup for it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Be sure to leave a comment as well as like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. I do have a couple more tune videos planned, but if you want to recommend your favorite car for me to set up, I'll try to get to it as soon as possible based on your comments. I do want to try setting up a few other cars that are not in the GR3 category. I might have to mix and match those in with my other videos, but I'll try to get to every car as soon as I possibly can, guys. I really appreciate the support on my GT7 videos thus far. We're going to continue to grow together, and I really appreciate everybody. That's it for me, guys. I hope you all have a good night, and I'm out. Peace.